Hello and welcome to another edition of Pulp Picks. My name is Patrick.
I'm Fritz.
And we're here to give you this week's reading recommendations on New Comic Book Day. And it's a medium-sized week, but we've got some heavy hitters.
A lot of them.
Absolutely. And that's kind of the theme for this week.
Yeah.
So why don't you start us off, Fritz?
Yeah, so you'll come to see, like, we had a crop of these to pick from, but mine was Absolute Martian Manhunter issue 8. Apparently more of a tongue twister than I thought it would be saying that. Well, yeah, so similar to the previous issue, we're dealing with kind of the fallout of the first arc with everything going topsy-turvy with the White Martian attacking and affecting people's minds. Mm-hmm. And while it kind of seemed like John and the Martian won that fight, they were able to kind of fix things, sort of. It's becoming increasingly clear, no, things are still, in fact, very not good here in Middleton. And unfortunately, John is not dealing with it the best. He spends most of this issue just drinking in a bar.
Sure.
And the Martian is constantly hey man, there's rising levels of anti-life everywhere. We got to deal with this. Things are bad. Not space is not good. And John's just one more drink. And yeah, so they're just not vibing together. They're not really working at the moment. Which is really bad because, there's other players starting to enter the field. We introduced this group called the Agency. They seem to be a government group, but they also seem to have similar powers, or at least powers in the same realm of the Martian in terms of being able to affect ideas and thoughts and how those interact with the world around them. So they are very immediately established as a threat. They're kind of going around town just psychically interrogating random people. There's this scene of one of them just sticking their hand in a guy's head. Yeah. And it's super unsettling. But on top of that, we've still got the White Martian hanging around. Not exactly clear what they're up to at the moment, but definitely nothing good considering last time we saw them. They're basically trying to make the entire town kill each other.
Right.
And then we get introduced to another new thought form at the end of this issue who will probably be familiar to longtime comic fans.
Sure.
A bit of a different take on them, but no less terrifying.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, this is very much John and the Martian just not being able to deal with everything being thrown at them. Unfortunately, more is being thrown at them. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be a question of just well, how are they going to be able to come back and get their groove going and being able to take care of this?
Yes.
And all of it wonderfully illustrated by Rodriguez here. He is just they took a bit of a break between issue 6 and 7 just to make sure that they didn't have any fill-in arts because his art is so
it's synonymous with this book.
It's part of why it works. It's there's sometimes I think the Absolute books have been very good in general about having either artists who are very similar to each other, or having if there is a fill-in artist here or there, it's very specifically kind of a breakpoint. Here's a little standalone story.
Yep.
It's why you've had we've seen that a bit on the Absolute Batman. There's usually that issue where it's here's where we get to do a little more backstory on this character or this character.
Correct. Or with Wonder Woman, the same thing.
Yeah, exactly, same thing. But here they're just no, we have this very specific story that Camp and Rodriguez want to tell, and it's very integral to it that it is told by them only.
Take note, other publishers, because this continuity in storytelling really makes a difference.
I mean, it's why a lot of indie titles will usually also take breaks between arcs, is so that they don't have to deal with having a fill-in artist or anything like that. It's one of the things. If you're online, you'll constantly see there's always discussion of American Western comics versus manga and that. And there's a lot of really dumb takes out there involving all that. We're not going to get too into it. But a big thing is when you're reading a manga, you're pretty much guaranteed you'll very often see in series the growth of the artist doing it.
Yes.
But you're also you're pretty much locked in on that person doing the whole thing.
Yes.
And they'll have assistants and everything helping out with backgrounds and whatnot. But if you're reading My Hero Academia, you're getting Kohei Horikoshi throughout the entire book.
Right.
If you're reading One Piece, you're getting Oda through the whole book.
Right.
And you don't always get that as much with American comics.
Correct.
And so when you do, you really want to enjoy it while you can.
Yes.
Yes, but no, this book, as you're about to see, there were a lot of Absolute books this week, and it was hard to pick which ones got up here.
Yeah.
But this one continues to be a particular favorite of mine. I'm sad that at least as of right now, ending at issue 12. So we're getting close to the end here. And I don't know, fingers crossed, maybe they extend it again. But if this is what it is, I love it. There's also a backup thing in here, a little preview for Vertigo coming back, the new series by Camp and Shippy Morian, the guy who they did 20th Century Man I talked about on here, where it's a zombie book and it looks super cool.
Yeah.
And so if you haven't gotten signed up for it, definitely do. Like we always talk about, if you want to get a book, even if you're just wanting to get like the first issue or anything, let us know. We'll get you signed up so that way you make sure you get what you want. We make sure we've got the right numbers for things so that way we don't have situations where someone comes in being like, oh, I want this book. Sorry, everyone bought a copy already.
Yeah, we were just talking about that yesterday about how there was a book that kind of came out of left field for us and we sold out of within minutes of opening, and we felt bad because we had a lot of people asking for it.
Yeah.
Well, if you sign up for it early, you help us help you.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, speaking of a book that I don't feel we've had much issue in terms of people signing up for.
No kidding. So I went with Absolute Batman number 16. This was by far the best-selling book of 2025 if you look at the
we were looking at the numbers yesterday.
Release of best-selling issues and trade paperbacks and hardcover graphic novels. It's just Absolute Batman all over it with a smattering of other titles. In this issue, it's basically Bruce dealing with guilt from the fallout of his actions up to this point. So his friends have been negatively impacted.
To say the least.
Yeah. And, you could argue that his actions just kind of shifted the focus of these evil acts onto his friends. Evil stuff was happening everywhere. He's trying to counter it. And as a ripple effect of that, his friends kind of got caught up in it. But there's definitely some blame there. There's definitely some guilt there. So he has been given a means of contacting Wonder Woman, and he thinks maybe I can tap her to help me alleviate some of the damage that's been done. So Wonder Woman agrees, and they go to, for lack of a better term, purgatory?
Yeah, I
somewhere between.
I love the bit on the cover of "Go to Hell?"
Life and death, and it's not hell.
Yeah,
but it's somewhere kind of in between.
Yeah, it's definitely a place that is not like safe for really anyone, much less a mortal.
Yeah,
which, as much as Batman is more than your average guy, like he's still like, as we've seen this issue, he can bleed. Like
yes,
like it's when he's thrown up against these things that are like greater than him, like. He might not always like measure up exactly how he'd want to.
Yes, and I think I really like that because one of the common complaints with Batman is like he's just a dude. Like, how's a dude gonna be the guy in Justice League who takes down Darkseid? Like, that's dumb. But you're reading comic books, so you suspend a certain amount of disbelief. But in this one, he quickly sees how over his head he is. Not that he doesn't do well with it, but yeah, I mean, we do also see guy's just a guy.
Yeah, but that's one of the things I really enjoyed about this run in particular is, and we've seen this in several of the arcs so far. Pretty much every time he really wins or like has like some kind of like breakthrough in terms of like how he's approaching things.
Yep.
It's because of like the people he surrounds himself with.
Yes.
Which is part of why then he feels so guilty about like all these bad things happening to the people he cares about. Because he understands that they are his strength, and he feels like he's not really being that for them in return.
Yeah. I also really like the dynamic between Absolute Batman and Absolute Wonder Woman that they've established so far. The banter in this book is really good. Bruce is more human as Batman around Wonder Woman. He opens up a little bit to her, and they get a chance to, because time works differently where they're at, they get to spend quite a bit of time together. So now, for stories going forward, they're going to have this bond and this relationship that precedes the relationship with, I don't know, anybody else that they might eventually team up with in the future. I don't know who that would be, but...
Another thing kind of similar to that, you were talking about how like Bruce is like very like how they open up to each other here. There's a certain sense, because a lot of times with Batman, like there's always that element of like, oh, he's this like scarred child who like experiences trauma. Here, I feel like
familiar with that.
Here, I really like how they lean into the aspect of just like this, like he's got a certain like, because a lot of times with the main comic, he's got this certain like credulity to like weird, crazy stuff happening. Yeah. Whereas here, he's like very open to it in that like kind of like childlike way of just like he's experiencing something. Like he's not really like cynical about it. He's more of just like, oh, this is like a thing that's happening, because he's already been exposed to a bunch of weird stuff. So like, he's like, okay, yeah, let's go with it. Let's see like how weird this is going to get. Like it's kind of refreshing to see him just be like more open and just like wanting to like understand all these strange things that are happening around him and how the world is changing.
It's one of the things that I really like about Snyder's take on this version of Batman is that seems a lot more open to using any tools around him to be able to be successful. And we've seen that a number of times where he's setting people up because they don't expect him to do this or do that. And he kind of does, a crazy Ivan and then, and that kind of happens here. In this instance, it's a little more influenced by Diana, and he kind of comes around to it kind of after the fact. But it does kind of give you, the fact that he even contacts her in the way that he does is very interesting. So I'm curious to see where they're going to go with it. All right, well, we also have a new #1. It's from Marvel, so, take that with a grain of salt. But it is a new creative team on a classic character. We went with, for our consensus pick,
Iron Man #1.
Yes.
With our cool wraparound cover from Ryan Stegman here.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is, like Patrick's saying here, the start of the new arc for Iron Man, the new run. And yeah, we've got this new creative team. We've got Joshua Williamson, who I believe has done like way back in the days, did some stuff at Marvel, nothing like super big or anything. Obviously, most of you probably know him more from either his work at DC over the last decade, or he's had some indie titles he's done.
I know that he did do something.
Marvel. But like obviously he's been big over there. He's been writing Superman. He's been writing just a bunch of stuff. But then the other big thing is a personal favorite artist of ours who's been on a couple books. Carmen Canero is on the art, and boy howdy, are they are a great team together here already.
This cover actually by Stegman does a really good job of illustrating kind of the energy of this book, because man, it just rockets onto the pages, and it's very fast moving, high paced, which is what I want from an Iron Man book. And we were kind of talking about how the line gets blurred between the comic book classic characters and the on-screen characters, and how Iron Man is one of those that's been most affected by that. And that's definitely apparent in this book, but in like all the best ways. Yeah,
like there's obviously that very kind of like live action Robert Downey Jr. like, oh, he's like the billionaire playboy, he's like over the top, like, but there's also like a couple points where it very much like feels like this is just like how he is when he's like out with people, because he's not like always super a people person. Like he's like he is, but he isn't.
Yeah.
Like he can definitely like he can schmooze, he's friendly, like he's not, but like he's also very clearly like, I want to be in my lab, like working on my stuff. Like
I think that it's kind of a wall that he puts up between him and other people. It's a persona more than it is really his personality, and he's talented at it. He's got that skill set, but that's not who he really is or wants to be. He just uses it.
Which I think is kind of like an aspect of Iron Man that, since they got away with the whole secret identity aspect, like doesn't get played on as much as like, because you remember like for most of his like publication history, he was like pretending to be his own bodyguard.
Yeah.
So like clearly like Tony's a good actor.
Right.
But it's just interesting kind of getting to see them play with like notions of like how he presents himself. Like the like not every armor he has is like actual armor. Sometimes it's just like the mask he puts on for a certain situation.
So good. Speaking of masks.
Yes, thank you. I was hoping you'd segue off of that. But Madame Mask is back, and she is great as ever. I love their like back and forth of
so good.
Yeah, like she's leading this division of AIM. They seem to be like trying to create like not necessarily like a new like weapon or technology or something, but they want like to basically create their own like Tony Stark almost.
Right,
like,
yeah.
They're just like, what happens?
Which is clever,
yeah,
right?
Like what happens if we push these people, these like very smart people, to like an extreme like Tony was? Like, what will they come up with?
Right.
Like, what can they like do when they're in this kind of situation? Because yeah, if Tony can create Iron Man effectively, what other like crazy things can someone come up with?
Yeah, because it seems to me that in comic book, encounters, it's not necessarily who comes in with the best technology or the best plan. It's who can improvise and come up with the best solution to the next problem that shows up once the confrontation starts. And that appears to be what AIM is thinking. Like, hey, we don't need new armor. We need somebody who can solve problems better or as good as Tony Stark can, because that's how he keeps beating us. Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah,
really
so
good.
we've kind of got that as the hook. We get introduced to a lot of the supporting cast. Some of them, if you've been reading previous runs, you're familiar with. Some of them seem to be new. We've got obviously some classic returning characters who haven't maybe been involved with the book as much in recent years, but if you know anything about Iron Man, you'll be like, oh, hey, it's you.
Yes.
And I do love that they do a really good job of like, because every time you get a first issue, it's just like, oh, how do we like get readers caught up to speed? It's the Tony Stark Award, so you get this whole like video thing of just like, here's kind of like a quick like brief snippet of like Tony's history, and maybe some of those parts are going to be important for like how the story plays out, because there's a bit of a cliffhanger here, and just like, oh, what's that about? Yeah, but also we've been talking about kind of like the story here again. Carmen Carnero, just her art on here is fantastic.
It's so dynamic. And I think Iron Man is one of those characters where it's challenging, right? Because you've got both the armor, that you've got to make the armor look cool, but you also have to create this sense of like really fast motion, because armor, rockets, repulsor rays, all that kind of stuff. It's super high octane and masterfully done. It's really, really good.
Also, really, I think Jesse and I, for those unfamiliar, one of the other guys who works here, really we're talking about how much we love this new armor. It's like, it's a nice mix of like a lot of the more modern armors he's had over the last decade, but also like very reminiscent of some of that like 90s stuff, like modular armor. Like it's super cool looking.
Yes, and it might be a bit of a Swiss Army knife armor set. It's got multiple, which is not totally new, but it's cool. I like the way that they did it. Yeah, awesome. All right, well, these were 3 great titles. What was close to making it up?
So as we've talked about a bit here, the other Absolute books this week, Absolute Wonder Woman and Absolute Flash were both really good. Absolute Flash, we kind of like really start to learn like what exactly Wally's powers are, where they come from, what threats might be inherent in all this.
Right.
We get some great moments with the Rogues. Absolute Wonder Woman, as you can probably tell from the cover, we finally get the start of the Absolute Satana arc.
Yeah, so, Wonder Woman kind of shows up in this world and starts using magic, which people are, whoa, what's going on with this magic stuff? Well, what happens when you throw another magic user up against Wonder Woman?
Which I love. They honestly don't even interact too much in this first issue, but what we get is just like, oh, this is going to be interesting. Like,
and it was set up a couple issues ago.
Yeah, this is going to, because I feel like it's going to be very similar to like kind of how the Bane arc was in Batman, in terms of just like how, oh, you think you understand like what you're up against, you don't really, and this is going to be like a similar arc, and just like Wonder Woman, like in the previous 2 arcs has had like, it's not been like the hardest time for her to like win, whereas this one's going to be like, this one might be more of an issue for her.
Yeah, because I don't think, again, she wasn't expecting this, you know? So it's going to be, and it's something out of the ordinary for her. So taking on big mythical beasts, she grew up doing that, so but a human magic user, this could be something different.
But other stuff this week, Feral was super good. Those cats cannot catch a break. I'm super excited for next issue. It's going to be, apparently, according to some of the solicits, if you're a fan of the previous work that Fleeks has done, definitely want to check it out, it sounds like. You and I were both talking about the new issue of G.I. Joe. Is really fun.
Yeah, super cool. A throwback to a particular episode of the original cartoon, and we get a new character, and I really like we get introduced to a new old character, and I really love the way that they did it. The modernizing of the character, the making it more grounded was really well done, but having that origin or introduction be based on an old specific episode was just so good. The art in it is great as always. Void Rivals was really good. The Quintessons have landed. Oh, things are going so badly now. But we get a team up of two of our favorite people. We'll see how that goes. Since they, parted on not great terms last time.
Honestly, you could describe a lot of characters in this book that way.
Yeah, best friends.
That
was so good.
Yeah,
it was just a great week. I'm so excited for 2026 and the direction that the comics are going right now. The success of comic books and comic book sales in 2025, because I've been doing this long enough to know that sales success and quality don't always go hand in hand, but when they do, it's magic. This is very reminiscent for me to the early 2000s when comic books were recovering from that 90s weird die-cut foil cover collector's edition, polybagged with a card in it. It's got to be a collector's edition. Rush out and buy it. And they were just pumping up sales numbers. And honestly, nostalgia aside, they weren't really focusing on telling great stories. And they had to recover by taking risks and starting to tell great stories. And that's where we got things like, Civil War and Secret Invasion and all this stuff that kind of brought Marvel back from the brink. And, DC saw the success of Vertigo being kind of a straight line through that whole decline. And they looked at that as, these kind of edgier, more grounded kind of stories are what people are looking for. And so then you come out of that with, Snyder coming on, Batman and Court of Owls and all that kind of good stuff. This era to me feels kind of reminiscent of that in that they seem to be focusing, the titles that are doing really well are focusing on quality of storytelling, both through art and scripting. But it's really a fun time to be reading.
It just makes me think of that old Jim Shooter letter that he sent out when he was editor-in-chief, and it's just hey, so I want to start making good comics. I know that's against what we've been doing. It's just well, if you're just going to come out and say it, Jim, sure. But
and not that everything that he pushed out was great.
But it's just interesting sometimes when people within the industry can recognize listen, we got to step up our game a second here, maybe.
And let's be honest, a lot of the great creations were almost kind of accidental because early on, when most of these characters were being conceptualized, it was pretty much just a race to the presses, copycatting. People were slapping them together going, they're just funny books, Even the people who were writing the stories, they and drawing the pictures, they only took it seriously to a certain extent. But now that we're at where we're at, and we've got so many people who are so invested, these amazing stories that are being told are just really fun to be part of. So anyway, all right, well, that's it for this week for us.
I did want to just mention quick, since we were talking about Zatanna in Absolute Wonder Woman, she's also in April getting her own ongoing normal Zatanna, not Absolute Zatanna.
Yes.
But it's going to be written and drawn by Jamal Campbell. He did the miniseries last year, so if you enjoyed that, it's probably going to be more good time for you.
Yeah.
We've got that. We've also got a new Firestorm series also coming out in April. So if you're excited for both of those, definitely let us know. We'll get you down for them, along with all the other amazing stuff, both DC, Marvel, Image, everyone's got coming out soon.
Yeah, and we've got the Marvel previews and the IDW previews hit the shelf this week. The DC Connect hits the shelf next week. So be sure to check out all those solicits, whether it's online or in those magazines, so that you can sign up for this stuff and make sure that we've got a copy waiting for you. Yeah, well, we'll be back next week with more picks. Until then, be sure to follow, subscribe, comment, share, get into your local comic book shop, pick up something to read, and let us know what you think about it. More Pulp Picks next week. Until then, enjoy the reading.
Oh, yeah, we should probably wait.
Ah.